Today we're going to summarise our invoices, creating a quarterly tax summary and also a sales and customer summary. We're going to automate this as much as possible so that when it's your quarter or year end, it's pretty much already done for you. Start with a new spreadsheet, call it our invoice summary, and then go down to our tab, rename this tab our database. We're going to add our columns now, so invoice number, invoice date, we're going to have a company name, price, quantity, and then we're going to have the net total. But actually I'm going to move that across one, and you'll see why later, so that I can have VAT percentage before the net total. We'll then add our VAT amount, so the amount due to HMRC or the taxman. Sorry, spelled that wrong. And then finally the gross amount, which is the amount that your customer pays directly to you. Lovely, we're going to stick with those 9 columns for now, but we will be adding more and making it more complicated as we go along. Let me add in some invoice numbers. If you drag down, then Excel or Google Sheets will add consecutive numbers. Let's add dates. I'm going to start with 1st of January 2025, and because I want a range of quarters, I'm going to add 30 days in between each invoice. Next is company name. I'm going to copy and paste some random company names into here. To resize the column width, double click here so you can see all of the company names. Add a price. I'm going to keep it easy, put in 1,000 for every sale, so turn it into dollars here. And then for quantity, I'm going to just stick in some random numbers. For VAT percentage, I'm going to put in 20% in every column, but there's separate lines, so if you do have different amounts, you can always change the VAT percentage here. Let's calculate your net total, so that's just the quantity times the price. Then I'm going to say yes to autofill. Now for the VAT amount, that's going to be our total multiplied by our 20% tax, and autofill that. Finally, our gross total is going to be our net total plus our VAT amount. Command Enter to autofill. Let's tidy this up a bit before moving on to our summaries. Select your top row, let's colour that in blue with white text, make it bold and increase the size of the text a bit. We can also centre a line. Hide the grid lines by going View, Show and unticking grid lines. Add our own line dividers by adding borders, so go to your borders, make them blue, give them a dotted appearance and then through all of the middles. Bit more column resizing, select all columns, double click on one and they'll all shrink to the right size. Just notice that last line's not got the full formatting, so I'm copying and pasting formatting there. That's it, that's our full data. It's got all of the information we need about tax, apart from we do need to add in the quarterly information. But for now, we're just going to do our total summaries. Create a new sheet, let's call it tax summary. Now we're going to want some information that's on the previous sheet. So net total, amount and gross total. Copy those across into your tax summary. So Control C, Control V. And it's got the formatting, which is nice. And we're going to create a new column and name it period. In that, we're going to first look at the totals. To work out the total, we'll do a sum equals sum bracket and then highlight that whole column. And then when you have new data, that will be updated. And because our VAT amount column is just one to the left, you can copy, paste across or drag across. And that is why we had that VAT column over on the left beforehand. Let's format those into dollars. That's very simple total summary. Now we'll work out our quarterly summaries below. Go back to the database column and we're going to add 3 more columns. They will be year, quarter and year quarter together. I'm going to copy and paste a column just so that we've got formatting. So Control C, Control V over the 3 columns and then delete the contents. Now let's work out the year. It equals year and then put in the date. It's better to do this automatically so that you don't make any manual mistakes. Copy and paste that down. Quarters a bit more complicated, so for now I'm just going to put in some fake quarters and then we'll update these with the formula once we've got everything else working. Let's centre these so that it looks a bit neater. In our final column, we're going to put together the year and the quarter. So we're going to put equals year and the and sign, and then a space or a dash, and then and the quarter. Yeah, autofill, thank you, and centre again. Then back over to our tax summary. We're going to use this nice function unique. So we're going to take all the unique values, all of our unique quarters. So unique, select the whole of column L, close brackets, enter, and this will bring all of these values in here. If you want to get rid of the header, you can do that by putting a 2 there, so it's just looking at L2 and below. Then if we have another quarter, say 2027 Q3, then that's automatically added on the next page too. Right, delete that and let's do some summaries by quarter. First, we want to add up the net total for 2025 Q1. So we want to sum if it's that quarter. Sum ifs, there's a sum if as well, but it's easier to use sum ifs for consistency. So our sum range is our net total. So sum the net total if, so comma, the criteria range, that's our period. Select the whole column again. Sum if that quarter is our criteria. So the comma, the criteria is we always want it to be 2025 Q1. So sum the net total if your quarter is that specific quarter. Let's not autofill right now. Change the format, so copy and paste that format. And then this column net total, I want it to move across. So I've got net total, then amount, then gross total. So we don't want to fix that, leave it as it is. But our quarter column, we want to always be the same column, so always be quarters. So to fix that in position, F4, which puts the dollars in, and then our period column, we're always going to be looking at column A. So fix column A by putting a dollar just before the A, not in front of the 3. Copy and paste that, and you can see we've got our summary by quarter. We can check these all add up to the total by highlighting them and checking the number in the right hand corner with the total at the top. If you remember, these quarters were fake quarters. I just put any old quarter in. We're going to calculate these quarters now. So let's go to our database and our quarter column. I'm going to show you how to create quarters that begin in January and then also quarters that start any month of the year. Starting with the simplest, so the first quarter is January, we're going to look at what month our invoice is in. Then 12 divided by 3 will be our 4 quarters. So divide that by 3. Then this won't be a full number. We're going to have a percentage, as you can see, like 1/3. So we want to now round this up to the nearest whole number. And the function for that is ceiling. So it finds the ceiling of that. So 1/3, 1/6, all less than 1 will turn into 1. Between 1 and 2 will turn into 2, etc. So adding in our ceiling there, enter, and then drag that down. We now have which number our quarter is in. So January, February, March is number 1, April, May, June, number 2, July, August, September, 3, and then October, November, December, 4. So that we know that it's a quarter, I'm going to add a Q at the beginning. Do this by adding a Q in speech marks and then an and sign to join it to our formula, and then drag that down. Beautiful. Now I want to show you non-calendar quarters. I was going to show you a really complicated way, but it took too long to explain, so I found an easier way. I think this is the best way if you've got months as different quarters. The function is called choose, and you kind of choose a number out of a list. So we're going to choose the month, which will let you know whether it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then you give the value that you want for the numbers 1 to 12. So if we've got January, February, March as Q1, March, April, May, Q2, it'll be 1, 1, 1 for January, February, March, 2, 2, 2 for April, May, June, etc., etc. We're going to add a Q at the front, a Q and speech marks and an and sign so that we've always got a quarter in front of the number. If April, May, June is going to be Q1, then the 4th month, 5th and 6th month need to be 1. So January, February, March are Q4, April, May, June, Q1, etc., etc. Hopefully that makes sense, but it's essentially we have our 12 months at the top and you can give the 12 months any values that you wish. You could even put the Q in there as well. Let's get back to some more fun, less complicated bits. Let's change quantity to QTY. I just want to squeeze everything together a bit more so you can see it all on one page. There you go, got everything in there. Proper quarters are in here. We just need to drag down so that you can see the totals. If you drag down further, when you get more quarters, they'll automatically be added in. So yeah, the summary is the quick part. The quarters was the painful bit. And now, as promised, I know not many people have single line items invoices. We are going to do multiple items per invoice. You could do this by having multiple lines per invoice in this one tab, but because there's a lot of repeated information like invoice date, company date, this can lead to mistakes and confusion. So it's actually better to have the items on a separate tab. Got a whole video showing how to do multiple items, drop downs, price lists. Check out that video if that's what you're interested in. But we'll do a quick one with multiple items now. See the other videos if you need something more complicated. Let's copy some of the information from the database tab. So let's copy the invoice numbers for the formatting and the headers, and then copy the company name and price and quantity. We're going to replace these, so copy, Control C, Control V to paste. We're going to replace that with the item, and then we're also going to have the value in here too. So the value will be the quantity times the price. Copy and paste that down. Double click to open up here, and we're going to paste in some items that I created earlier and some prices and quantities that I created earlier. Drag that value down. In order to do the invoice number, I'm going to create a drop down. So insert drop down, or you can also go data validation. Apply to the range A2 all the way to the bottom, and then go criteria, drop down from a range. Click here and select the whole of column A in your database, except the header, so A2. Once that's done, we check no changes in advanced options needed, and then we can stick in here a load of different invoices. So we want multiple items per invoice, so just stick a couple of invoice lines and then they will have multiple items. Great, close that. Now invoice 1 has a couple of items, invoice 2 has a couple of items, etc, etc. If we go back to our database, our price and quantity are now in the items, so we don't need those here, but we do need to pick up the net total. So we're going to do sum ifs. We're going to sum up the net total in the items tab if the invoice number is the invoice number on the left. Copy the formatting from below, then drag down. The VAT amount and gross amount are already calculated as they have the formulas in there already, and we can delete these two columns. Then let's do a quick check that the tax summary is updated. Oh, that should have said VAT amount. And now we're going to do a sales summary. So new spreadsheet, call that sales summary. I'm going to do this by item. I'm going to copy some of this information. So select Control C, Control V. We don't need price, so select that column and delete that. We're going to calculate quantities and values. Or instead of value, let's call it revenue. So the revenue from each item. So the quantity of each item we're going to do is sum ifs. We're going to sum up total quantity, that whole column, if, so comma, if the item, select the item, is, comma, and the sales summary is honey. So enter that, we can drag that down. But to make sure that we're always going to include all of the items, we'll replace these ones which are hard pasted with an equals unique. And we will do unique on our items. Should be B, not A. There you go. That's got all of our items on there just free at the moment, but if we get new, they'll be added. And to do the revenue, it's another sum ifs. Sum ifs, we can move this formula along. So let's just fix our items, and then as we move that across, our revenue will be the next column, which is column E. So just check that. That's column E, so we're summing up all of column E. Right, lovely. Here you go. That's our quantity and revenue from each of our items. What we could do is we can add in another column to work out what the percentage of each of these are. So we're going to call this percentage revenue, and we're going to look at what percentage the revenue of honey is out of the total sum. And then we can drag that down and turn it into a percentage. We're now going to visualize these with cool little charts called sparklines. So copy that over, then delete it, just so we've got some formatting, and then let's create our sparklines. So equal sparkline, then we can select the data that we want, and then I usually find it easier to click in the options and copy all of the options across from here. So copy these and paste, and then we will have a chart type bar, and then the max, instead of being 50, because they're percentages, you can have 1, so a max of 1 gives you this, but you can see that the bottom one is 100%. That's because I've made an error here and I'm looking at the sum of the whole area and I should have fixed them. So fix these all the way to the bottom and drag that down, and now you can see the first two are nearly half the revenue each. So nearly all of the revenue comes the first couple of items, and then a little bit of revenue comes from the last item. Ease. We can also do the sparkline based off the quantity. Let's do that so that you can see how the max works. So the sparkline will be based off B2 instead of D2, and we're going to compare against the maximum of the whole of column B. We've got an error there because I got my brackets mixed up. There you go. Sorry about that. Brackets in the wrong order. Copy that down. That's better. Now the line goes to the edge for the biggest selling product. Let's change back to column D, and then our first line will then be based off D2 compared to the maximum of all of column D. So instead of the maximum being 100%, the largest line will go all the way to the edge, like we saw before. So we can see that the two largest are here. Next, we shall summarise our clients, that's the companies that have bought from us. We'll find our top customer and how much everybody has spent with us. To get a list of all of our customers that will automatically update, let's do a unique on our customers in the customer database, excluding our header column. Lovely. Let's find out how many orders each customer has made. To count the number of times a customer has ordered, we're going to use a count ifs. We're going to count the number of times a customer has appeared if it's the customer on the left. Drag down, and our top customer by orders will be Buzzworks. But how much has everyone spent with us? Let's add up the revenue for each customer. Back to our trusty SumIfs function. Sum up the net revenue if our company is the one on the left. Copy that, paste it down, and we can see that Buzzworks is also the largest by quite a margin. Let's look at the revenue as a percentage and have a pretty sparkline. We've done this before. Let's change our column so we're looking at the correct column, column H, and see what percentage of revenue each of our customers is making. Then update our sparkline references to be column I. Here we go. Buzzworks is definitely our best customer. Another useful piece of information could be finding out when our customer last ordered. So if our best customer hasn't ordered in a while, you might want to check if they're all right. We can do this by looking at the last order date, or if you imagine you're looking at a list of the order dates, you want the highest or maximum order date. So we shall use a max ifs. We're going to find the maximum date from the company if it's the company on the left. This provides our date as a number, which is the number of days since the 1st of January 1970, but let's turn it into a proper date by changing the format. As you know, I like a date with months written out. And you can see that Buzzworks last ordered in March 2026. Right, now we're going to make this look a bit better. After faffing around with formatting a little bit, I've decided it looks better. All grey with the grid lines removed, so it looks more like a dashboard. And then we need to add a divide between our item summary and a company summary. So select that whole column and we're going to have the thickest border we've got. Should now be a bit clearer that over here is our item summary and over on the right is our company summary. Let's get rid of all these lines here, either hide or delete the columns. Let's freeze the top line so that we can always see the column headers when we get more data and we scroll down. And I'm going to do some really similar stuff on the next tabs, so we'll speed up a bit. On the text summary tab, delete or hide additional columns, get rid of grid lines, and then put in our own nicer grid lines. On the items tab, let's get rid of their grid lines again and hide everything on the right, put in nicer grid lines. And finally, in the database tab, we're going to hide columns again. Right, I think that looks all right. Let me know what you think. And then that's it for today. Hope it was useful. Comment if you've got any questions. There's loads more videos where that came from, so why not watch one that's being suggested or have a look at the channel page to see if anything takes your fancy. And see you next time. Cheers, bye.